and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast, episode 543. My name's Adam Cook, and I'm joined this week by Chris Hyde and Lyle Carr.
See, I thought...
Yeah, we were working that now.
You were wondering.
After 1 week, I got my second place back, and then you had to just say, and Lyle, so it's like a joint
Sorry.
Joint second. We're the same.
May as well be
Do
third
you know,
or
it
last.
could have been a lot worse, because I took a breath, and if I hadn't, I was going to say, the boys are back in town, but then as I said it in my head, it was like, no, that's so cringy, I can't. And yeah, I have sort of said
Probably
it.
You have
the
now,
standard.
Yeah, I've said it. Everyone good? How are we this week?
Good.
Oh, that was a very long pause.
But
That was
good.
That was like a really long pause before saying you were good. It's like...
Well, I was trying to think how to express it, because it is good that there's lots of stuff. There's just lots of stuff, which we're obviously going to talk about today. And there's loads of stuff we can't talk about. I mean, it's crazy. You come off the back of 2023 where you're like, Jesus, that was a year for games. And you're like, well, at least we'll get to kick
January
back a
will be
little
quiet.
bit.
January's always quiet. January's like remasters and then nothing really of note. It's always quiet. And yet, I find myself sat here quite happy in a way, because the first two big games we're going to talk about, one we talked about last week and another we haven't spoken about yet, are both technically Sega games now. And as a kid who grew up as a Sega kid, I kind of, it's great, you know? I'm really pleased with myself that I get to talk about some Sega games. Like,
Sega.
Yeah.
You know, because to be this good, it's let's talk about some Persona, Lyle, because you finished Persona 3 Reload. I've played. I think I'm over 30 hours now. So which most people will be like,
halfway.
Well, that's great to hear, if I'm honest with you, because it's not normally past halfway in a Persona game. It's normally depressingly not even close to halfway.
Or something.
Yeah. 30 hours of Persona 5 would be like getting onto a third just. But yeah, you know, you've done significantly better with this game, and it helps that it is a bit shorter, a bit snappier. But yeah, Persona 3 Reload.
Yes.
It's Persona 3, right? But they've like modernized it and made it look nicer and
reloaded it, would you say?
Loaded it almost, yeah. Which is it's a wild feat. So yeah, Persona 3 was the last of the like trilogy of what I would call them as the modern Persona games.
Yeah.
Because, you know, before that they were like PS1 games, and it was all a bit different back then. But yeah, if the Persona 3 was the last of those that I hadn't played yet all the way through. I'd played a bit of it I think I played a bit of all three prior versions of Persona 3.
Right.
But not enough of any of them. And yeah, now I've finally finished Persona 3, and I can confirm that it's really, really, really good.
Oh, isn't it though? Isn't it good though?
It's really good, isn't it? It's what they've done to that game is like they've basically taken all the best bits from Persona 5, and they've been like, well, what if they were all in Persona 3? So you've got like the whole shifting once you hit a weakness, so you can like swap between party members, and it's easier to hit more weaknesses, I guess. You've got the sort of big flashy special attack, although that has sort of like different systems that govern it, like how you earn that attack meter is like each character has their own thing that fills the meter. So there's one character who, if she does loads of healing, her meter fills faster. If there's one where if you do loads of stat buffs, then his will fill faster, and all these sorts of things. But it means everyone plays that a little bit differently, and the special moves are awesome. And it goes so quickly. Like
it does.
30 hours of it. That like I would normally be like, how have you fit that in? But how much you can just play like an hour here or there, or you can lose yourself for a few hours and make loads of progress. Like you don't feel like you're taking forever to do all these things. And you know, it's basically close to a full year of a life sim where you'll be doing all your picking who you want to socialize with, and doing studying or working at cafes or eating ramen to raise all your
going to the arcade, karaoke, working in a coffee shop. These are all such exciting things to do in a video game. Working in a coffee shop. Why does that? I was because like there's also we've not talked about the combat yet. We should get into it a little bit, because the major thing in Persona 3. Well, Persona 3 full stop is Tartarus, which is a lot of floors dungeon. And I want to talk about this, right? Because I think that might be the divisive part of what this game is for people who are new. And I think and I know your review score, and I obviously read your review, but I think I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
So that is a massive caveat and qualifier. But of the modern Personas, this is really pushing hard to potentially be my favourite of them, because it feels balanced in a way. I'm either getting incredibly lucky, or it just is balanced. So there's sort of blockers that relate to the story in Tartarus. So you can go like, I don't know if it's the same every time, but it's got to be 10 to 20 floors or so, give or take.
It's usually around 20, maybe a bit more than 20, but it's like there's usually like a point every month where you'll suddenly get a phone call and it'll be like, oh, a bit more of it's opened up.
That's exactly that. But you can do the 20 in one session.
You can.
In fact, I do, right?
Yeah, same.
But I think there's enough mechanics in there, like wrapped inside Tartarus. It's not just you're running around collecting. It might look like it, even in our video review. You're just running around as a shadow. You fight it. You level up a bit. You get some treasure. You go up a floor. There's a boss fight of sorts. There's a it might look repetitive, but I don't. It doesn't feel that way to me, right? Because you can, if you want, just run through a floor just to get up the floors and get them done. I wouldn't advise it. I would say do some battles every floor, get your levels in. But they do things within Tartarus that make it feel interesting to me. So when you get the shuffle time. So if you I've actually forgotten what it is. I think it's if you kill an enemy by doing the all-out attack.
I'm not sure it's always
that.
No,
because you get it sometimes when you don't, right? And that's why I'm a bit like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's unless if you do the all-out attack at some point, maybe.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out either. I wasn't sure if it was always doing an all-out attack, or if it was like maybe luck-based, but you always got it for that, or something like that. But it happens quite a lot where you have that. It's kind of the same in all the modern Persona games, I think now, where you get all these cards appear and you can pick between them, and there'll be one that will heal the party, or one that gives you extra money, or one that gives you extra experience, or gets you a new Persona altogether.
Or if you're lucky, and I'm sure you must have had this at some point since you would have played double the time, but at my last session, which was actually quite a long one to get all the way up to the top floor I could get to, I got a card that let me pick 2 cards each shuffle time.
Yep.
And, oh my god, that was like
it's like Christmas.
It was. It really. I was blown away, because every single time I could not only get an XP boost, I could get money, or I could always get an XP boost, but I could also get the Persona if there was one on offer, or I could get healed if I needed it. So it's like the only thing that stops you in these games from just thrashing through the combat in the dungeons is that you basically do. You don't. When you level up, you don't get your health back. You don't get your magic back. Now that's normally one of these things in games I don't like. But I have had time to reflect on it. And we discussed this off the podcast, and you sort of said why you think that is, and it's sensible. It's kind of like a stamina bar. Like you can keep going, but you got to use your money to buy the items, and you got to have your, because it's not health isn't really the biggest deal in that, because you've got enough people who've got heal skills, but the magic will decrease. You can also then teleport back to the start and switch your party out. And I don't think I've even got all the party members yet, but I love how kind of it starts off and the party members are kind of just people.
Yeah.
And then it's not. And then it's really not. And the latest one I've just got has more legs than a human would have.
They do.
I'm spoiling a game that's, how it's not really a spoiler. But oh my god. And then they do this thing is when you get a new party member, they'll have a skill in their persona that you either haven't come across, and you're like, well, they're never leaving my party ever again now, because they can
every time you get
debuffs.
A new party member, that basically happens.
And that's amazing. So there's all these little things. We haven't talked about the monad doors, which I know are not your favourite part.
I think I'd say them, yeah.
But they're in there. They're in there. Do you know what I mean? There's so much that keeps.
There are even these things where if you use enough of... There's these shards that you can use to open chests. And if you use enough of these shards, if you get lucky, a big clock will appear on the floor, and if you interact with that, you can pick any of your other party members you're not using, and the next time they have a fight, they'll level up to the same level as your main character. So if you just go and swap them in, you can just be like, well, I've not used you for the whole game, but here's like 13 levels up and you're caught up and it's fine. So you don't really have to worry about bouncing people out.
So I was going to ask you about that as well. Like, I don't know if I got lucky or if that changes the further you play, because the last time I did that, I was able to pick 2 characters.
No, it's always 2, I think.
Yeah. Oh, is it always? I just didn't have anyone. Oh, yeah, the first time I did it, I only had 1 character that was lower level because it was earlier on, and it was like I had to pick from 3 of my characters to bring up, and I didn't bother with Junpei. If I get another one, I will.
Yeah.
But
you don't have to. Don't just
no.
Ignore
I mean, if there's nothing else,
I always ignore him.
Yeah.
He's one of the only reasons I didn't score this game a 10.
Really? That's strong.
He is a prick.
Yeah, he is.
He's a piece of shit. He's a little pervert. He's got no redeeming qualities, and he can fuck off. I don't like Junpei at all.
I can also see where it's going with this story. I've just met certain people, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm right, aren't I? He's going to be a bigger dick than I even... Yeah.
Well, you'll see for yourself. I will,
because I am going to keep playing it.
I know. How exciting is that? There are also some things about this Persona game that I actually think are like maybe better than any other Persona game. Like, I do think the runtime is kind of a big one, which is wild to have to like say, 60 hours. Oh,
it's
what a
only
treat.
60. You can almost see the YouTube comments. This game's only 60 hours. It's not worth my money.
Totally. But there's also like, I think it has maybe the best soundtrack of any Persona game. It's like, it is so good. Like, I already loved when this game first came out and I was a teenager, the original battle theme was my ringtone. So I already loved this soundtrack, but like they've remastered it. There's like different versions of different tracks that play at different times. There's a point partway through the game where like all the normal themes of when you're like exploring and doing stuff just change to new ones, just to be like, let's freshen things up. Here's a new soundtrack. And it's like, you didn't need to do that, but I mean, it's a really long game. I'm kind of like glad you did. That's cool. I also think the story is like the whole overarching story is like maybe one of the best in the Persona games. I don't necessarily think you get to spend enough time with some party members, but I think like there are some twists and turns coming. They are, Adam. They're coming.
I believe you. I'm enjoying the story as well. I think one thing it does well with the story is that it actually sets itself up quite well. Like the way the game starts, and I'm not going to go into detail because there's no need to, because there will be people. I played a bit of Persona 3 before, but nowhere near as much as I've played now. But it does set itself up quite quickly at the start, and like it's quite clear. I don't know if that's because of the time. It was there weren't like lengthy cutscenes in games perhaps, but it does feel to me like they needed to get you in quickly. I also had I've got a personal moment of the year that won't get brought up on like our Game of the Year stuff, but it absolutely made me laugh. There's a lot of incidental dialogue as you're just wondering, you'll be running around Tartarus and your party will just all chat to each other, whoever you've got. And I totally hadn't done it on purpose, other than the fact I was like not in the mood for Junpei. And I just happened to have 3 female characters running around with me. And they actually they mentioned it. They called me out on it. They were like, "You just like having a load of women with you, don't they?" And then one of them goes, "Yeah, well, in I think they say something like they refer to like a harem, which it's like it just made me think of Nick. It made me think of Nick.
The characters I was also happiest with and was like, yeah, okay. And fortunately, by the end of the game, I changed my party. I wasn't just the pervert. It's fine, but.
Yeah, but like the fact that they call you out on it is like clever, whether it's intentional or not. But I always was like, I'm a little bit affronted by this. Like, I just didn't want him in the party, and you're new, and the other 2 are awesome anyway. So it's like, God, sorry. Oh, fine. When I find a teleporter, I'll put Junpei in. Christ, get him to throw some fire at someone, which I could do myself. But sure. Oh no, in fact, I'll get him to use his sword, which I could do myself. But sure. I don't like him very much either.
No, that's fair.
But the game is absolutely phenomenal. It's really strange. I know that like Atlas and Sega it's all Sega now, but it is still sort of Atlas and Sega. But it is so mad to me these 2 games have come out like on top of one another almost,
Yeah, just like, hey, how about we start the year with 2 fucking huge games to play? Everyone will have time for that, right? No one has like jobs or lives or families.
I mean, it's not even one of those. If someone said to me like, "Oh, which should I play?" I'd be like, oh, both. Like, I've finished Like a Dragon, obviously, and we can seamlessly transition into talking about that now. But I will say as well, right? And I know you will have played this similar way. It's great on PlayStation. It's great on Xbox. No qualms about that. Mm-hmm. There's something about this game on Steam Deck that it is so snappy. Like it is just click. It is so snappy and fluid as a game that you mentioned it earlier. You just whip through the hours, and it is really one of those games where you look up and it's dark and you forgot because you haven't turned the lights on, and you're like, oh shit. It is so. Yeah, it's a great game. Every time I sit on the sofa and there's the deck there, I'm like, just a couple of nope. It is, it's a wonderful game. But moving into Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, have you played any more? I know Chris has.
I have not. I've had a lot on, unfortunately. I really wanted to play more. I keep thinking about playing more, and every time I do, I'm like, I might miss this deadline.
I nearly went back to it, mate, and I was like, I can't. But Chris Hyde has. He has.
I have, because you've got to give the listeners what they want. So I prioritized it. No, well, I started to, and now I've had to stop because other stuff's come in. I was when we last spoke last week. I literally played about an hour, and now I've just checked, and I'm on 16.6.
Oh, so well done.
I put in some hours this week on that.
That sounded patronising, and I didn't mean it to. I genuinely mean well done.
I say like putting in some hours, like it's hard work. Putting in 15 hours of this joyous game. I knew I'd love it from the first hour, and from what I've played in the previous games, and from what everyone else was saying. But we were talking last week about how it manages so well, just from a story perspective, to combine the absolute batshit crazy laugh out loud nonsense that it does so well with the kind of more poignant, serious moments. And I'm only at the start of chapter 5 for those people that are way ahead of me. So there's loads of stuff in the story that I haven't even experienced yet. But there have been a couple of moments where I'm just like, okay, what I knew was coming that I braced myself for. One I didn't know, but it's one that it earns through building up a character and giving them a moment that will probably go somewhere else in the future. And I just feel like
so much happens in that game. I can't work out what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil.
No, I know. I'm gonna have to remember to ask you off cast.
I'll be honest. I played. The man who raised his name, Kiryu fan. Love the guy, legend. Not going to spoil stuff for the sake of spoiling stuff, but it's also not a big secret in terms of some of the kickoff poignant moment. But even when the guy first appears, I'm like, because I spent the first few hours just playing as Ichiban, and you kind of forget because you kind of get that. I have a love for Ichiban because he's just I mean, he's
a
like
different
our
love,
age.
They are,
He's like our age, bit of a game, a bit of a dude, bit of a man-child type thing, right? And he's just lovable in that sense. And then Kiryu's just like this absolute badass, and I just it's weird because I got into the whole I am Ichiban type thing, and you love that character and what he stands for, and you go, yeah, this is why I love this guy. He's like Particio but with muscles. I just fucking love the guy. He's just fucking will do anything for anybody, trustworthy, wants to make the world a better place, all that kind of stuff. And then you're like, oh, but I do like Kiryu. No, I do. And he just
you can't imagine Kiryu playing Dragon Quest though, and Ichiban is a Dragon Quest fan. That's the
but it's so funny their interactions between the two of them. They don't feel forced, and they don't just they are opposites, but they're adjacent because there's some Kiryu's done some quirky, campy stuff in some of the other games. It's not pretend he's just this cold, hard, stoic character that's never done anything quirky or random, but just them together is just it's just been a joy, and the story and the new characters, like you say, they build them up in a really meaningful way. And it's not that I didn't expect them to, but like I'm already fanboying over the old characters that I got to be within the first couple of like chapters, and like I don't know. I'm sure they're coming back at some point, given what I can see in menus and stuff. But like, I'm like, but I quite like what's going on over here and stuff. So it's like
you say that right, but here's the thing: because when I first started that game, and you start where you start, and you interact with who you interact with, and then you get to chapter 3 where things change.
Yeah,
I'm being vague deliberately.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
My first thought was, you cannot tell me that they have made that whole area, those characters playable, and now it's all just somewhere else.
Yeah.
But then I stopped and I went, but they actually might do that.
They might do, yeah.
So I don't know.
Using stuff like, I mean, it's not like but like I'm like, no, I would be. That, but
no, I'm the same. I was the same. I would be like, anyway, I would be stunned. That would be an incredible feat.
But I guess we kind of touched on it. Like I kind of touched on that nature of it just with 1 hour. I'm like I said, I'm 16 hours in and still feel the same. If anything, I'm more impressed, given where the story's going.
What do you think of the Sujimon stuff? You've seen that now,
so
right?
So
and how many hours did you spend on it so far?
so right. Before I get to that, I will kind of talk about how I'm playing this game, right? Because
it's a slightly worrying one for you because you've got go on.
It is a little bit, but it's also not, right? So there's like, you won't know this, Lyle, because this is your first one of them. But there are some things you can do in this game that you could do in all of them, right? Played darts once in one of the games, you've played darts in all of them, that type of thing, right? So though. Like, I have no desire to go and play darts again, and unless it's important for a side mission. That's the only time I'll go and do it, right? But I have I don't care. That sort of stuff. I tend to focus on the stuff in this game where it's conveniently, I can convince myself it's en route to what I'm trying to do anyway.
And then you end up the other side of the map.
Right?
Yeah, I know.
So if it's a shiny thing that I can pick up from a bush, I'm all over it, right? If it's a group of enemies I can go and kick their ass on route to where I'm supposed to go, that's all fine. If it's a poker stop, or if it's like, so the Sujimon stuff, I'm all in for, because
you meant Suja stop, yeah?
Yeah, Suja, Power World stop, yeah. And then if it's what other stuff? If it's like looking for rubbish on the beach that's kind of on my way, I'll do that.
I missed that, by the way. I missed that until like 40 hours in. That whole thing, of
it's not
recycling.
Quick either.
No, but like I just didn't run into the woman who does the recycling thing.
So I like anything that's like an icon, like a side story. Right. It's kind of on the way. If I can kind of argue it's on the way, I'll go, well, let's go. We're almost on the way. So like all the side story stuff I tend to pick up, but like the things that I don't think I will do a lot of necessarily as much. It's like, the crazy taxi type stuff, or the poser stuff, because that's literally stop what you're doing and spend time doing this thing. Whereas like the Sujimon stuff, it's like, well, that's kind of on the way and I'm kicking people's ass anyway. And it's like, so I've been all over that. And like, I got to the start of chapter 5, but I then played an hour of chapter 5 and achieved cock all because I went around and saw, there's a Sujimon icon and I might not have that Sujimon, so I best go over to that raid. Or I ended up beating one of the
gym leaders.
And then that obviously unlocks a whole.
By the way, even that I was not expecting. I just thought you'd go in and fight him and that's it. I wasn't expecting.
Yeah,
like even that is like a Pokemon gym where you have to go through a few battles on the way. It's like bloody.
Yeah.
I know you listened to what I said about and you read the review from Chris and you've seen the video. Were you surprised by the Sujimon stuff still?
I am more surprised by it the more I play. I'll be honest. When I first got it, I first got into it, I was like, okay, this is baby's first Power World, right? This is like proper, like. Really dumbed down, really basic, kind of okay, get it, but whatever. And then And then you get, like you say, that gym piece. Then you start with like the raids and they might say no to your advances, which I won't go into any more of, but you know what I mean, Adam. And then you get into the whole level 10, level 20, level 30, all that sort of stuff that you progress with and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, now this is growing. It's not like it doesn't show its whole hand straight away. So it grows into something that becomes enormous. And now I can start to see what this whole new game could be. It is that. But when I first saw it, I was like, nah, that you're milking that. That's not a whole new game. That's just a side quest. No, it expands into something that is really clever, and they manage it in a really clever way through like capping stuff, but then opening it up. So you can't like rock up to the first gym with like level 99 everything if you just grind it. Like, it's done in a really clever way and sensible way. So I really am into that because, like I say, it just adds more icons onto the map that I can kind of argue are on the way. So literally at the start of chapter 5, all you have to do at the very, very start, without spoiling anything, is basically return back to the bar.
That's right.
It should be a 5-minute walk.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I spent an hour. I'm not there yet because there's also the friend bingo shit that's going on that I can't ignore, and like there's so many things like that. I'm like, oh, I've got to wave to someone because I've got to become their friend. I've got to feed a dog because I've got to be friends with a dog because it's on my way. So literally anything like that I'm like, oh, that's technically on my way, I end up doing. And I love it because it is a bit like what you just said, like, holy crap, it's like it was beyond dark outside. It's technically morning. I need to start like going to bed. And it is that kind of thing. I've just been absorbed by it, but not just by that gameplay, by the story as well. I really think that it's a really good, and I knew that because I played, we talked about, best moment of last year. We talked about, Song of Life. I've talked about that at length before. I knew that this was going to be good, but like, it's not just funny good. It's the balance of good. And I haven't even unlocked
a lot.
Dodongo's Cavern Island or whatever it's called. Yeah. Like I haven't.
Dodongo's Cavern Island.
And I'm not even. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm hearing
Dodongo Island.
I'm never leaving that. I'm never leaving that place once I get there.
It's really hard. Like I when I got there the first time, I was like, it tells you can go now and come back whenever you want. Like, but I can't, can I?
Yeah,
Because you clearly don't know me, do you? Because I can't go now because
like Royston Vasey.
Kind of was, yeah. You'll never leave.
Yeah, it is like Lyle. I trust me, I get the now, and I haven't even started Persona 3 Reload, right? But this is cracking. This game is. I hate. Cracking.
I'm really worried. I sort of don't want to say this because I feel you're doing well, but I would suggest that the things like the recycling lady, that she has like a shop, or they're what I'd call a vendor. If they are a vendor, you should do the stuff there because they have some really good items. Not necessarily right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I've been doing that when I've been near the beach. I run over.
But you mentioned Sicko Snap. You were just sort of like not doing that. That's a vendor.
But I don't give a shit.
It's got some good stuff. But it's fine. It's fine.
No,
there's other vendors,
and I'm sure all of them have got good stuff. I
really like them.
You can go and get overpowered stuff early. I don't care.
No, I don't want to do that. But like, did you play? Have you played Sicko Snap at all?
I've done the tutorial. Yeah.
So it's Pokemon Snap.
I mean, it's just pressing X when they're.
But that's what
frame.
Pokemon Snap was. You're on rails and you go around and take photos of them.
Yeah. The difference is it's just always groins.
I don't see the problem here.
Yeah, I'm not getting it. I'm sorry, I'm not getting it.
No, I guess I'm sitting there going, I could be
more groins
rather than taking pictures of dicks. I don't.
To be clear, anyone who hasn't played this, they are not naked. And no. I don't know why you're just taking pictures of their groin, because you don't have to. It's actually the mask, I think, that's the important part on their face.
It says you've got to zoom in for more points.
Yeah, on them, not their penis.
No, so what happens? No, but this game, I'm telling you now, you zoom in and you take the picture and it goes, but then it zooms in again. So you've centralized the body, the whole thing, and then you zoom in and you take the picture of just, the man doing this.
Yeah.
And then it just goes, oh, you took a picture of some pants. I'm like, no, I took a picture of an entire man like you asked me to. But it zoomed in again to go, oh, yeah, fantastic picture. I'm like, what? It's a Todger. Like, I don't hate it. I didn't hate the crazy taxi flipping stuff. That was all cool.
Did you go up a side of a building at least in that?
I jumped.
Okay. As long as you did that, I'll accept that you've moved on from that. That's fine. That's fine.
So I had a good time, but I was like,
just snapping.
Like the the karting thing in the original one, the Like a Dragon one. Like,
I know exactly what you mean. The can collection.
Yeah. No, the drive-in one.
Yeah, where you collect cans on your bike.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I didn't do a lot of that because I felt like I was stopping the journey.
That's fair.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm sure they're fun. I'm sure you get a lot.
No,
of stuff
but I get with the Don Don Koalan thing. That was much newer because it is new. But there was a point where even though I've been on there like 2 hours longer than I had to for the story, I'm like, I have to go. I want to see this story. I have to go on. I know I can come back. But yeah, like I am a little confused about because I don't remember taking too many pictures of groins. But I'm. Hey, I've admitted my memory's not good.
Maybe my eyes are just drawn to it. You know where they've got this eye tracker? Like,
you've got crotch eye, is what you're saying.
Just be like, he just looks at penises.
Yeah, crotch eye.
Maybe it's me.
That's
the effect that Lars had on me. Sorry, but no, the game is fantastic. Yeah. I told you I'd finish it. I mean, I put in 15 hours this week. It's so good.
Yep.
It's so good, and it's packed. It's really packed.
The game?
No, the penises.
Yeah,
okay. The penises.
I just wanted to spell that out, make sure that it was absolutely crystal clear that we were talking about the same thing. Okay, that's fine. Let's move on to the third game. No, that doesn't work because so Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League, right? I'm quite enjoying it.
I was going to say it's all right.
I quite like it. Right, I don't know what the consensus is because I don't keep up with stuff very much in that respect. No
one's played it long enough for there to be a consensus.
Okay. So anything I say
Adam,
about this,
there's too much on the screen.
So I did see that because someone dropped that in our Discord, and it is busy, but it's a. So look, this game has got problems, but none of them are the actual game. I don't think a lot of them are the perception of the game. So people are, they know Rocksteady, and they're like, oh yeah, I know Rocksteady, Batman Arkham.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that is a fair or unfair assumption. I mean, it is what it is. But I don't think this game's ever pretended it's one of those anyway. That's what I would say. I don't think it's ever tried to hoodwink people into thinking, I mean, from the moment you see they've all got guns, you're like, well, that's not Batman, is it?
Physically can't be. Yeah, exactly.
But like what it is, so what I find this game to actually be is analogous to Destiny. Okay? It is a loot-driven shooter. I know that's first person. This is third person. It kind of plays a little bit like, the Crackdown games where you're sort of bouncing around. Because of the traversal that the characters have got, it's kind of a bit like that. You're bouncing around an awful lot. You're very rarely stood still. You know how in Crackdown you get so many enemies on you, you had to keep moving or you die. It's got very much got that. And the reason I say all this is because I'm not saying it's like, oh, it's game of the year, whatever. No, it won't be anywhere near my list, but I am really enjoying a caveat with that I have not finished the story. I have not played umpteen hours of it. I've played about 4, 5, and it's one of those games with like Rocksteady. The story stuff's quite good. I mean, there's a couple of Boomerang does my head in right now. I don't know if he's meant to, but as a character, I'm not particularly warm to him. The others, I'm fine with. They all feel. Perhaps I know more about them. I don't know an awful lot about Captain Boomerang. I'm not that deep into the DC stuff, but the story stuff is very Rocksteady. That stuff seems well written, well performed. Well, the cutscenes. There's quite a lot of cutscenes, by the way, and it takes quite a long time before it frees you and lets you go anywhere you want. But it's one of them games. It is a Destiny-style service game. And I think if you go into it understanding that, it's either for you or it's not for you.
Mm.
And I do. It does concern me a little bit that talk about what the game is. Let's say what the game is, because it's not trying to be a Batman Arkham game, and if it was, it wouldn't, you know. And not being funny, we got one of them in Gotham Knights, and people didn't like that either. Now, whether that's neither here nor there, but this is not one of them. It's not one of them games. It is a third-person shooter, driven by loot, driven by traversal, slightly driven by the character stuff because they are constantly together. Like it is single player if you want it, but they're always there as bots. Again, I can't sit here and say, oh, I'm definitely going to, you know, by the end of the time I won't get bored of it. Like, I don't, it is repetitive, but like those games by their very nature are. I don't know how you would, you know, Destiny's repetitive, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
World of Warcraft.
You're very naive if you think if you're saying it's not.
You know, I mean, what genre, you know, it's a bit like saying, oh, this card game's repetitive. All I do is keep playing cards. Yeah. The difference is, do you like that? Do you enjoy the shooting? Like in this, do you enjoy the movement? Do you enjoy the shooting? And so far, I am. Like I'm still experimenting with characters. Like I didn't like Shark at first, and now I play him more than anything because I find his traversal just is really quick and snappy to use, and I've just clicked with it. But like I'm still experimenting with them, and I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I haven't found. There's nothing. I haven't, you know, gone into all the microtransactions of it and all that, and the battle pass stuff hasn't. It hasn't reared its head yet. It will. Of course, it will. It'll be in there, and I don't like the idea of a battle pass in a full price game. Who does? You know, it's fine in a game like Fortnite. It gives you a reason to keep playing a free to play game that's fun anyway. I haven't found anything like egregious so far in my time with it. Like again, 4 or 5 hours, but it's just a pretty well made shooter so far with a decent story. It is repetitive. You are basically going point to point, clearing out enemies. They introduce a few different enemies early on. I can see the boss fight I'm just about to have. So again, but I've been doing side stuff, you know. Excuse me. But like, yeah, I'm not here to say it's the best thing since sliced bread. But I do think it is one of those games where it's like it's not going to be for everyone, and I think that's what it is. I think people want it to be for everyone. They want it to be Arkham Knight or Batman Arkham 4. It isn't that. It is a loot-style shooter service game, and if you don't like them, I don't think any amount of character work or story is going to make you go, "Oh, I want to play this." And forcing yourself to is...
Yeah, and I think realistically, like, there are more people who probably would be interested in a new Arkham game than a service game. I don't think service games are like I think a lot of people have a bit of a bad taste in the mouth about that. So going into this and expecting the opposite... It's just that's not really what it is. It's not what it's ever been, really, as far as I can tell.
And you could even, you know, talking about outside of what the game itself is, we could happily sit here and go, they're probably about 2 years too late to the whole thing. But that again, that's neither here nor there as to if the game's any good. And like,
I feel like there are just some games, for a variety of sometimes quite justifiable reasons, or sometimes some assumptions or out of time bits that you just mentioned, that just become quite popular to shit on.
Possibly, yeah.
And this is this one, you know.
Yeah. It's Forspoken, but 2024.
Yeah, exactly. It's the one. It's the one right now that people. And this is why the whole HUD thing happened, right? Because it's like, oh, let's all laugh at this game. Let's find a reason to all rally around and laugh at this game. And it's just like, fine, if it keeps you warm at night, fine, do that. But like, I haven't played it. But like you say, I wasn't.
But I'm not saying I won't come in next week and say I've gone off it. You know, I don't know.
When you first heard about this game being announced and the Rocksteady thing, of course, that's when you start making assumptions about, DC and Rocksteady and stuff. But I mean, if you've still got those assumptions now, then I'm sorry, you've not been paying attention for a long time.
And I would also, second caveat, like I say, I might come back next week perhaps and say, actually, it wore thin. I'm done with it. Blah blah blah. But the other caveat I would give to that as well is that I am very much one of these people who I do not understand the glee and dismay that people seem to have. Like, and I don't mean people in I'm not categorizing, but there just seems to be a general thing in the world these days where people take glee and dismay. Like, it's we can all shit on this. It's like I can't because I'm always thinking of like, someone really I mean, whether they fucking wanted to make this game or not, I will never know. We will never know. Doesn't matter. Someone did put some hours into it.
I will never understand like people that that want things to be shit.
It's the Schadenfreude, isn't it? It's the Schadenfreude effect, and I've never been one for that, and that's not me trying to put myself on a pedestal. I just don't.
No, but I am better than everyone else. I've already.
Absolutely, you are. That is true. But I'm just saying that it does. Well, sorry, Lyle. You're equal, much better than everyone else. But
yay, we're equals, Chris.
He said it. You don't need that kind of validation.
No, it's true.
Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Like I say, next time we talk about it, maybe I'll be like, oh no, it went off a cliff. But so far, like I had 40 minutes free today, and that's what I decided to sit and play. So, you know, I do kind of like those games sometimes. But the thing I don't like about something like Destiny is that it is a grindy game, but I'm too far removed from it to understand the lore. This is pretty simple so far. In terms of story, and I know enough about them that I can get into them. So I'm not opposed to this kind of genre. I just need one that, you know, clicks with me. And maybe, I don't know.
And I find with, like, I always find, like, when I played Destiny, which I know is not this game, but, like, actually getting through it was really quite enjoyable. But it's this when you can then keep going for the grind and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's the bit
I don't know if that stuff's in here. Like, are there raids? Are there? I don't know. So far, the side quests have been chaotic, is what I would say. Like I say, it reminds me a lot of Crackdown, for better or for worse. But as a service game, take that for what you will. Look at the footage out there, make your own, you know, decision on that. We'll review it when Chris White's reviewing it, when he's good and ready, and like, it's a service game, so he needs to put hours into it. We're not going to do a story review because the game is the game. So yeah. And on that note, we will move on to some listener correspondence.
Listener correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde. Okie doke. So first question is from Gary this week. So Gary asks, is there a game you love but don't replay because the opening hours are too slow going?
This is it's kind of a tough question because I think most of the games I really like, but I think of as having a slow opening. I still kind of like the slow opening. Like, I think
this is the thing I struggle with this question, because I'm like, in my simple brain that is quite simple, if I love a game, I don't think the opening hours are slow.
Yeah.
Like, and if I think the opening hours of a game are too slow, I don't love the game because I'm already saying, well, the fucking opening shit.
So I think there's a few games that fit this bill, not necessarily for me, but that I certainly think fit the bill. And a lot of them aren't necessarily not action games, but they're ones that have a lot of story. So a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 has a lot of slow walking at the start.
I'll probably play that at some point.
You should. But that's the one that
always comes to mind when you think of slow start.
So I'm going to suggest another one, right? Mm-hmm. Controversially, perhaps, but a game that has actually got a slow start, but that I don't dislike, because I think it's I love the story, I'm invested. But a game that does, and having played it recently, categorically start very slowly, is The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah,
it takes a very long time to get going.
Really slowly.
And that is fine the first time you play it, because you're so invested in where this story's going. You're like, I'm loving these cutscenes, it looks amazing. Replaying it, you would be a bit like...
Yeah, no, that's fair, because I think the thing why that works is because it's like a return to the characters. And so you're like, oh, what are they doing now?
This is what I mean.
You kind of absorb yourself into that, back into those characters that you've been waiting so long to do. So you kind of not tolerate, that sounds really bad, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
you might skip the scenes. You might skip,
but it is slow.
And you know what? Two of the other games that I would mention, or series, are on what we've talked about. I think Persona games take a while to get going often, and I do think Yakuza and Like a Dragon games are so tutorial heavy.
Take a while,
it does. It does. Like, it's 3 to 5 hours before you start that game.
But I think as well, right? Like, because I was thinking this as well. Like I won't replay probably Infinite Wealth.
Nor would I.
But not just because the opening hours are slow, but because it's a beast of a game. I won't just go, I love Xenoblade Chronicles. I probably won't replay it for any particular reason. Not just because whether or not the opening's slow, but because the whole thing's fucking massive and it's a massive endeavor to take it on. So it's like, when I replay games, they do tend to be not short games, but like not the 80-hour ones. They tend to be like the ones that are shorter, so you feel like you could get to the end. Like, do you know what I mean?
I'm bad for game. I don't replay a lot of games in general. It's something I just haven't done for a long time. But like, I do a few. Like Mario Odyssey, I do. Mario World used to be before that. I tell you what, I saw a random. I left YouTube playing on something, and it went over to some random Mario Wonder video, and I was just looking at it and going, "Oh, I really would like to play that again now." Actually, you just look at it and you're like,
I've unfortunately had to play some of that again because my daughter started playing it, so it's like I feel like I've started again on some of it, and it's so cool. But I
mean, a visual novel, Lyle. Pick a visual novel.
I mean, yeah, I suppose so. These are all just games where I'm like, I don't remember. Like, I'd either leave it so long replaying it that I wouldn't really remember it, so it'd be fine, or I wouldn't. I mean, like, since writing about games and trying to keep up with games and stuff like that, there isn't really the time. But back when I did, the closest I can think of to games where I could kind of argue some of the starts were slow were like replaying like an Ocarina of Time or a Wind Waker. Like, I think Zelda games in general, they usually have like a decent start, but like I feel like once you get to like your first dungeon, maybe it's like, and now the game really kicks off. But at the same time, it's not slow enough, or it was never enough to put me off. I know I can't think of any games that. I think the closest things I can think of are like you saying things like Last of Us Part 2 would be quite.
Twilight Princess is a bit slow, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if I think I only replayed that once actually. Yeah, I think that maybe I was put off. Maybe that's the closest.
Isn't Wind Waker quite slow to start?
Kind of, but I also just really love it because you sort of have like you're on the island and
I adore Wind Waker's start. The music's quality and it's just the gran. I just love. I
think
Nintendo, like a modern Nintendo, are one of those developers. Because I don't know if I'm just getting older or because it's getting so much busier, but I love a game that starts quick now, and I'm like, thank you so much. Nintendo are kind of the kings of that. Like,
yeah, they do tend to do
just like bang, you're going. I mean, even the new Zelda ones, you like just playing.
Yeah, I think, like I say, I think the only one I can think of like from Zelda is Twilight Princess, because I think they fell into that trap of like everything is bigger, and it's like so the start was bigger because everything was bigger, but like I think all the other ones are just like just get going and just start figuring stuff out. Whereas you have to catch sheep and round sheep up and stuff, don't you? From memory,
do a bit of fishing and
so there's quite a bit of, but anyway, yeah. Oh, interesting question though.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus. McPoo. I mean, technically, as a question, can you all say one nice thing about each other? I mean, you could answer that yes or no and just move on. But I think he also probably wants.
It's your segment, mate. You tell us what we're doing.
Well, I think it would be shit if we just went yeah or no and moved on.
It would be quite funny though, as well.
It is funny. I'd be a bit of a dick, but like I think. It's formed as a question, but I'm going to say we have to say one nice thing about each other. I'm decreeing it.
It's fine. It's not a problem for me.
No, it's me and Lyle having to say a nice thing about each other. That's the kicker.
Do you want me to start or do you want me to finish then?
Yeah, you start. Let's build up tension.
Sure, it shouldn't be the other way around. That after you... No, you've got to say something nice so it won't need to bring it back up. But I can say the same thing about both of you, really, because I would mean it.
No. You've got to say different things about different people.
But I feel the same.
I couldn't give a shit. It's my rules.
Right, okay. Chris Hyde is one of the kindest, most wonderful people I've met in my entire life. He is one of the few people in the world who get me instantly and got me instantly and put up with me as well, which is really important because I take a lot of putting up with. He is just a true gentleman. Like, he is a good host, a kind-hearted man, full of love, doesn't mind being shit on if he thinks it will be funny, and has a great sense of humour and good taste in games. Good taste in games. Not great, good. I honestly, I have nothing bad to say about you. This is easy. I could just do a podcast talking about both of you.
Oh, wow, this would be a great podcast. Let's do this for the Patreons.
Lyle, on the other hand, is also a wonderful. Lyle is a wonderful human being who I adore his sense of humour, and I think is full of kindness and heart and love. And for all the stuff we say in Discord and how jokey we are amongst each other, I think he is a very, very warm human being, and I'm so glad I met. I think he has incredible sense of style, and I wish I had the balls to pull off. I don't think I could pull it off, but to pull off the sort of shirts he wears or the hats, I just think he looks awesome. He just is a fantastic human being. It's the thing I like about all of you guys. Really, I think you're all just wonderful. I would, you know what, and I would love to live near Lyle as well. I just think we'd have an enormously good time. We'd both probably end up about 40 stone, especially if that's a place called Slamwich. If I moved near you, but yeah, this is easy for me. There's not a thing I wouldn't do for you guys. So top that, nice? You bastards! Oh no, I've ruined it.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, you're a cunt, really.
Thank you.
Okay, right, let's do it. Do you want to go next, or I don't mind going next?
I'll finish. You go next.
Okay.
Go for it.
Can I just assume the pose? I'm looking
it's hard. Like,
don't look at the screen.
No, I know it. That's what I find really hard. Like,
don't look into each other's eyes.
I hate taking compliments. Like,
it's much easier to give them than take them. Yeah.
No,
no, it is. It's much easier to give compliments than it is to sit there awkwardly going.
I really hate it. But I was wincing when you were talking about it. No, right, Adam. I'll do Adam first because that's the one I feel genuinely true about.
Wow.
No, I mean, I think a lot of what you've said, like about me, I agree with about you. I genuinely think you're one of the good guys. You're a really nice human being. You genuinely see the good in people, and also, frankly, you don't know how good you are and how nice you are as a person, which actually, means you're the most, whatever the opposite of arrogant is, the most unarrogant person I know. To bordering on self-deprecating all the time, but like, you're such a genuine person, a genuinely nice person. I'm so glad to have met you, and I'm so glad to have you in my life. And you're a brilliant leader as well.
Imagine if someone's tuned in to this section and they're like, "Are they all dying?"
Yeah, it's like it is. It's like yeah. Right, Lyle.
Humble, by the way. The word's humble, but I didn't want to say that while you were calling me humble to be correcting you.
I mean, Lyle's he's got the Donkey Konga bongos.
Yeah.
I like them. No, in all seriousness, right? What I will say about Lyle is that I don't think I've met a person that is so unequivocally positive about everything. I don't think I've ever known you, unless you've hid it very well, properly annoyed or pissed off or negative about something. Like, unless it's about me to other people, and that's fine, because I get that. But, like, you're just, in the face of this shit world that exists, just always smiling and always happy. And that is infectious, I will admit, to everyone that you come in contact with. And that's beautiful. And I can't say that about myself, because I get pissed off about the smallest things. But yeah, I admire the fact that you're always smiling and optimistic about stuff, and I love that.
Oh, look how nice this is. God, we're gonna have to really have really shit on each other next week.
What if this next week is like, can you all say
can you imagine? Oh, it's gonna be tasty next week.
Can't do it.
Oh, I gotta go now. Everyone's already said all the nice stuff. What's left?
I was amazed he let me go first, because I thought there's no way we're going to run out of things to say.
And you took a lot of things in yours. You could have just said one thing. You took about 12 of each.
But I can't, because I like talking about my friends, and you're great.
Yeah. Okay. You know all the things that everyone else says.
Right back at you guys. Next question.
Yeah. Adam, right, he sends me all the game codes, and I like when that happens. He's like a really good boss. He's got like organization that I couldn't imagine, because I'm flaky and pathetic. I couldn't do that shit. I couldn't put up with all the things he has to. I couldn't have to reply to billions of emails a day in like professional fashion. Like, I reply to like 2 or 3 a day, and I'm like, fuck me. How does he do it? That's a nightmare. He's ridiculously kind, ridiculously helpful. If he thinks he could find a way to help you and it will inconvenience him like 10 times more than it would help you, he'll do that. Like, he's that kind of guy. He's amazing. Yeah, amazing to have him in my life. Would be really would be a weird world to not have Adam in my life. And Chris Hyde, before we started recording, he said something nice about my shirt.
He did. Genuinely, yeah.
Yeah, he said very nice things about me. And realistically, he is a ridiculously lovely person. He's very helpful. He checks in when he doesn't need to about things. He's a bloody lovely guy, and I don't really like admitting it because he's a bastard as well, isn't he? But yeah, Chris Hyde, he's really nice. Will do anything to help you, kind of like Adam does, but it's a different person than Adam. It's Chris Hyde, and there he is. And look at his hair. Look at his head of hair.
He does.
Not a lot of us can say good things about that.
It's a great shout.
Not a lot of us have that going for us.
What are you talking about? Oh
no, that's a great shout. Man, as always brings hair game. Always
brings the hair game. Oh, and he shares great pictures of like food he has from exciting other countries that the rest of us can't dream of getting to. And I enjoy living vicariously
from various countries.
Yeah.
I do love the fact as well, just one more, that I love the fact about Chris that he doesn't really drink except mojitos.
It's literally exclusively water
I've
or
never
mojitos.
seen him drink anything apart from... I've drank with him. He had a mojito in a pub.
That's so good.
Yeah. I think I did have a pint once with you. But yeah, it is like... The thing that I
did. I apologise. You had cider. You had a pint of cider.
Yeah, no, I think it was cider. But like, I will... Like, I sent you guys a picture when I was in Iceland of that mojito on, like, the last night. Every other bar I went in before then, of the whole trip, I was like, have they got mojitos? Are they doing cocktails? Like, I don't care that it's, like went to Reykjavik, and it's, like, over London in terms of expense. Like, it's more expensive than London. Yeah, it's properly expensive, yeah. So I was like, I don't care if I'm dropping 20 quid. I want a mojito. Like, it was literally like... And then I found one on the last night, which I want to text you guys. But, yeah, it's a bit of an addiction. I do apologize.
Mojito love, that's up there. When you started saying I did once have a pint, I thought that was the end of that sentence. I thought it was like, I've had one.
Yeah.
No, we did. We had a pint in the quietest pub in the whole of the UK, I think.
Oh, yeah. The pub that they clearly wanted to shut earlier than we...
They really wanted us to leave, yeah. And that was not late. Anyway, there we go. We've done it. All said nice things about each other.
It was nice.
I don't know if it's backfired or not.
Often, maybe.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, let's not.
Well, we'll hurry up, Chris, because we've got a lot to go.
Yeah, come on, let's wrap this up. Right, mixed in questions for all of us, about 12 each as per usual. So we'll rattle through these. So Adam, yes. Like a Dragon 8 was a rare JRPG you beat well before launch, but still didn't rush through it. I think the last time you and I played something pre-release like this was like Octopath Traveler 1 or Final Fantasy 16. I wanted to know what you thought of the structure of Vlad 8, which let players break the balance by doing mini games or finding rare weapons hidden around the map. This is like 6 questions in one. Also, did you do karaoke? What was your favourite song, and why is it Honolulu City Lights? There's a lot in there.
Right, no, this is fine. First of all, I think that was unnecessary shade thrown at the start of that question, but I'll allow it. Yes, I think it was Octopath 1 or Final Fantasy 16. Last time we played it, something.
I think it was
together.
A compliment.
It didn't feel like one.
Okay.
The rare JRPG. Maybe yeah.
That's how he said it.
I think he's more pointing out that you got given plenty of time, not that you're a lazy cunt that doesn't bother to beat games before launch. But
well, as you said, self-deprecating to the last.
Yeah.
He wanted to know what I thought of the structure. I think it's down to you as the player, isn't it? Like, I never felt the need to do that. I felt the balance was fine.
What I like is that it does genuinely. There are options for everybody. Like, I don't think you can look at this game and go, "Oh, there's not something in here for me." I'm like, "Well, you're a miserable cunt."
So yeah, no, I think the structure's great. I think the structure of that game. I think everything about that game's great. And in regards to karaoke, so when you early on mentioned, which one did you mention? Darts.
Yeah.
I've done enough karaoke in these games, so I don't think I touched it unless I had to in this one.
Can I ask a question? Right, and Lyle, you might. The leaderboard in these in the karaoke, how does that work properly? Is it simply as if you get a really high score, you conveniently place high on that leaderboard no matter what everyone else does? It's not like an online thing, right?
I'm glad you added that at the end, because I really was for a minute thinking, is he asking how leaderboards work? Because this is the maths genius.
If you get a good score, you go to the top of the leaderboard.
Is it just convenient?
I get that bit, but it's like I'm trying to work out, is it just...
I don't think it's online. Although Mick, I was talking to Mick actually, and he thinks, because someone asked in the YouTube comments to our review, is there a way of going to other people's Dondoko Island?
Yeah.
And I was about to go, no, I don't think so. And he goes, no, I think they confirmed there is. And I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. It's a single-player game. So I don't think there's any leaderboard-based stuff.
It's
not
just
like
some of the
Persona
weird names and some of the characters. Like, back in the olden days when it was like, the Street Fighter 2 leaderboard and it was always like Capcom and SF2 and stuff. And you're like, yeah, I know that they're like... It's like, there was a weird one in the man who erased his name. It was like, congrats on your such and such wedding or something. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
no,
what?
I think that's just RGG Studio, mate.
Probably. But like, I will say, on my first go, my only go on Like a Dragon 8, I got number 3. 3 out of whatever in Hawaii.
Well, I can't really accuse you of a humble brag because you came 3rd, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, but my first go on my first song.
I'm not. It's fine. Well done, Chris.
I'm glad I brought it up. I don't know if it was Honolulu City Nights. It was the top one. That was Ichiban.
Okay.
Gotta fucking put it up now. Suicide Squad is online only right now, but apparently it'll be patched to be playable offline. How do you think it'll be balanced for that, Adam?
The same. It's like I haven't played it with people yet. Like, it's just bots. When I'm Shark, there's a bot version of Harley and the others.
Yeah, so presumably they just move.
Yeah.
In the same way, yeah.
Do you know what? They're actually pretty decent. Like if you do go down and you hit "Please revive me," they just beeline for you. Probably better than a human player would actually.
They don't fanny about it.
No, but I don't think it will change. It's an online game. I mean, if they patch it for offline, fair enough. But I don't think they'll change the balance of it. I think
you're kind of playing it effectively offline.
Kind
now,
of. I mean, they're bots, or they're not. It's up to you.
Yeah.
I don't actually know how it scales yet. Like, will it get more difficult with more people? Like, if we all played together, 3 humans and a bot, I assume it scales up. I don't know yet. I haven't tested that, so yeah, can't really answer.
Okay, switching games again. Persona 3 Reload looks gorgeous, and I loved playing it. What do you think of the game costing $70 with extra DLC being sold as a remake of an older title? I think we answered this earlier, didn't we?
I mean, I don't feel Persona is a series you can really
shit on for not being good value for money.
Yeah, value for money is not
this is what
really
I think we kind of said this earlier, didn't we? It's like
a complaint I've heard often labelled against a Persona game or an Atlas game in general.
$1 per hour of enjoyment is a decent return.
Yeah, the only thing that's kind of tough about it is like, I mean, you can kind of argue that there are elements that were in older Persona versions of Persona 3 that aren't in this. Yes. Like in my review, I mentioned, the like the female main character, and there's like an extra like sort of expansion-y chapter that was in one of the versions. But I also think, based on some people in the YouTube comments who were actually explained things I didn't really know from not having played those games, it seemed like most of those things weren't necessarily done that well or that fleshed out. So maybe there's a chance that if they are going to do them, it'll have to be kind of almost similar to Separate Ways, where they're remaking a massive bit of content and making it more impressive and adding it to like, another version of the game or whatever. I
mean, Lyle, you tell me, because you finished it and seen credits, but I certainly haven't spent any of my 30 hours going, this feels like something's missing. This feels...
No.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And honestly, like, I don't know, like, I do think they probably it would, if it does well. I mean, I would imagine they've probably already got that stuff ready, or they haven't. But I don't know. But yeah, I just sound like Mr. Positive today. I haven't got a problem with it. Like I don't think that. I think that's good value. Do you know what? Just get Game Pass if you're worried about the price. Just get Game Pass
also
and stream it to your phone.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But like, I don't think $70 is bad for a game that you probably get 70 hours out of. Like you said, it's $1 per hour. I always think it's interesting when people start to break the value of games down, and then you go like, but you'd spend $10 a ticket or something on a film which you watch 2.5 hours of, and it's like, I know it doesn't.
I always equate it to cinema and think, well, in that case, this game is
great value for money.
Great value for money, and I can play it as many times as I want.
But I will also say that, and I can't speak for everyone, but I don't, unless it's a really big deal, I don't really factor price into whether I think a game's good or not.
No.
If that makes sense.
No, and we've said it multiple times. Different people put different value on different types of entertainment. So like, it's.
There's the only time it does come up in my head actually is when you see a game and you're really enjoying it, and then you see the price and it's like a budget game, like a $30 or $40, and you're like, oh wow, I'm quite surprised by that, but not in a.
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't
sometimes
change
get
anything.
pleased the other way and think,
but it doesn't change how I feel about the game. It's just like, oh, that's good, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But we're in the era, and we're going to be moving further into the era of every game will start to cost that. I'm afraid. I think. Yeah, but there you go. Yeah.
Moving games again. How's your progress in Tekken 8 online multiplayer going? Given all the hours in the day that you've been playing on that, surely you've been playing a lot, right?
I have not yet played that game at all.
Gasp! Shock!
You've been too busy Tekken-ating.
I do want to because I love Tekken. I was a big Tekken fan back in like the PlayStation 1 era and stuff. I used to even play it in some arcades when we had them. I just haven't had time.
Mm-hmm. I get it. Trust me.
We all get it, yep.
I haven't played it yet either, and I want to.
Everyone's got a Tekken 8.
Yeah. And then final question: if you played Grand Blue Relink, I wanted to know what you thought of the visual style in the early hours.
Well, I've only played the early hour.
After the later hours, but
yeah, well, that's why I was wondering as I was about to answer. I was like, is there something I'm not seeing? Because I've only played an hour and a half. And I think it's a really good, well-made game that's not for me.
Yeah.
Scarily, it is for you.
Be for me,
it is definitely for you. Yeah.
That's what worries me.
Visual style, though, it looks great. It looks great. Yeah. The visuals in that game are. I mean, the Grand Blue games always look incredible. Same as like the BlazBlue games. No, they're not linked or anything, but just
have blue in the name.
Yeah, for some reason.
Bluey.
They are. The Grand Blue Fantasy Relink looks amazing. It's like an anime come to life. It's a bit Ghibli-esque. Yeah, it's a really good-looking game.
It's never really a bad thing to say.
No, Christ.
Right, Lyle, if you had to recommend a newcomer to Persona, a single game to start with, would you go for P4, P3, or P5? For some reason, he's annoyingly put it in that order. I was like, Jesus Christ. And what platforms would you recommend them on?
I'd recommend them on Steam Deck, no matter which one I pick. So that part's easy.
Yeah.
Or Switch if they've got a version there. I think the only one of the three I wouldn't necessarily recommend right now is Persona 4 because, you know, at the time, even though it's a game I adore, I would score that game a 10.
Oh, it's an all-timer.
Absolutely, it's an all-timer. I just think that compared to the other two, it's the one that feels the oldest because it is the oldest, really, when the others have had such, you know.
Do you think they'll do it? Do you think they...
It feels like they will at some point, right?
I mean,
they have to do it.
Sell.
I mean, I'd like to hope we get something newer before we get a Persona 4 big remake, but I'm not going to say that that's how it'll happen because it really couldn't. But yeah, unless, in fact, there's two ways to go with this, actually. If I think the person would really, really love Persona and end up playing all of them, I'd say they should play 4 first because then going back to it would be harder. As a sort of like older game, but in terms of like if I'd want to make sure this person would absolutely love it, I think I'd go 5. But God, it's like I don't know, 5 you've got the it's 40 hours longer. Maybe 3's an easier one to recommend. It's tough. They're all great. They should all be played.
Worth noting as well, he specifically says Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is the longer.
It is, but it has a better opening. So maybe that helps too. You know what? I'll say Persona 3 Reload. It's the one of those three that I scored a 9.5, whereas the others I would say are 10s for me. But that's still an amazing game, and I just think for a newcomer, I think it's the one that would be the easiest to get into.
Especially if you're a newcomer that likes perverts, maybe.
Yeah, maybe if you love perverts, then if you love perverts, especially Persona 3.
Yeah. Okay, will you be playing Trails of Cold Steel 3 or 4 PS5 port coming out soon? I liked your Trails reviews last year.
Oh, isn't that nice of him to say? He's only buttering me up to try and get me to play some billion-hour RPGs that would take forever to play. I think because they're kind of remasters of or ports even of these games that have already come out, I kind of don't think it's worth it. I think the fact that they're already 3 and 4 means that I'd already kind of be out of my depth jumping into those two games because, and I've played a few Trails games at this point, and there was the series that was kind of like a standalone arc. The first ones I played, which were Zero and Azure, and I really, really enjoyed them. And then I tried to play Into Reverie. I think that was the other one I reviewed, and that was the one where it was like, you better have played those games I first mentioned, and then another 4 games I hadn't played, and just trying to play that game, I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Who the hell's this? Who's that? What's going on? Like, it's a really ambitious series that's like doing this whole like it's almost like a like a Marvel universe stuff where you have to have seen everything, and like you'll feel like you're missing out. You won't get the full experience if you haven't played billions of hours of these games. And because of that, jumping into the fact that 3 and 4 are releasing at the same time as well, so it would be like over 100 hours, I imagine, total. Like, I think that is
it's a lot.
Yes, it is a lot. So no's the short answer to that.
Okie doke. And as a newcomer to Like a Dragon, what made you want to play this? And by this, he means Infinite Wealth, and not try an earlier game.
It's because I'm on the Game of the Year podcast now, and when the last one released, I wasn't on the Game of the Year podcast. I mean, I guess you could argue The Man Who Erased His Name, but it always felt like that was kind of an entry in the series that was like a smaller game, and it came kind of late in the year as well, so it didn't.
I think Man Who Erased His Name, if you've not played Song of Life, I think it loses a lot of what you gain, because you don't have to have played it to play Infinite Wealth. I think it's for the people that have played Song of Life that are going to play Infinite Wealth. It becomes. I would argue it's really important to play that then. But if not, I don't think it's.
And I tried to play Yakuza 0 way back when I got it on like PS4 or whatever, and like it had kind of a slow opening, and the combat didn't click with me, and it was just sort of bad timing, so I didn't carry on. So if I was gonna have picked any of these games, it would always have been the like turn-based combat, either the original Like a Dragon or Infinite Wealth. So I mean, in an ideal world where I had more time, I'd probably have played the original Like a Dragon first, but I'm more than happy I'm jumping in here, and it just sort of makes sense for everything.
Yeah, I will say I do think those games do a pretty good job of covering their asses if you haven't played the other games.
I mean, I know I haven't played much of it, but I've not felt lost at all in the first 5 hours.
You get the Easter eggs and there's some of the references that are kind of unnecessary, but the bits you need to know.
Yeah, like I haven't felt confused.
No, it does that well. This question is to all of us, actually. It says, given a choice between Dragon's Dogma 2 and Rise of the Ronin, which would you want to play?
I don't really know. I'm not sure, because they showed more of both of them, didn't they, at the PlayStation Direct thing that just happened, pretty much. Oh, which I think I'd enjoy Dragon's Dogma 2 a bit more, is my general thought. So I think that's where I'd go, but I'm not sure on this one. This is I could choose it either on a whim.
Yeah, I mean, I really simply want to play both of them, so it is a harder one for me as well. There's absolutely no way that these both aren't getting played. I think I probably lean just slightly towards Dragon's Dogma 2, just because I'm still slightly worried Rise of the Ronin isn't going to be everything I want it to be, but like I think they're both going to be really good. I think I'll love both of them.
For me, it would have been Dragon's Dogma until the State of Play, when they showed the traversal and stuff. Well, Rise of the Ronin, just you saw more of it, didn't you? The traversal and movement looks really fast, and responsive. However, I don't know if it's a Souls-like or not. Still, I'm not 100% sure.
No,
if it is, I'll swing back towards Dragon's Dogma 2. I think, because
you're burnt out on them, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. The developer has made a lot of them recently, but I am like, it has to be really something. I just don't. This isn't the time for it, but every Soul's like starting to feel a bit like an imitation in a way. Like I was watching a video by the excellent Sieve on Bloodborne. I haven't finished it yet, and it's like when I was watching it, to me that game's a masterpiece. And then Elden Ring is the same, and like there are good ones like Lies of P. I think is fantastic, but that just aren't them. So if it's a Souls-like, I'm going to be like, oh, I wish, because I remember that developer used to make more just action games like that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they have started to make a lot of Soulsy things, Massacre games. So if it's one of them, probably Dragon's Dogma 2. But at the moment, just Rise of the Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
That's your questions, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah.
For Chris, how are you finding the story in Like a Dragon so far? Have you tried any of the new jobs yet? I know you stopped. You said earlier like he wasn't throwing shade and being nice. He says, I know you stopped playing most JRPGs, so I'm curious how you're finding this one.
Yeah, he's a camp. I said earlier, the story I think is really good. I think it earns its moments. It manages to gel the serious and the funny and quirky, and it's just brilliant. Love it. Really invested. There's a bit of suspend your disbelief on some bits, but whatever. It's fine. Have you tried any new jobs yet? No, because I'm dicking around at the start of Chapter 5, and so I haven't got to the bit that's presumably quite early in Chapter 5 where you get new jobs. Even to the point where I have unlocked a new job that I can't use yet because I haven't unlocked jobs. So that's literally the game going, stop dicking around now because you've unlocked something that you should be able to use, but you can't because you're dicking around. So, so I haven't tried any of the new jobs. I'm keen to, because then I can start buying and making some stuff for those jobs, which keep winking at me in the various shops and things that I have. So, but no, I'll play a load more of this and unlock various things like jobs soon, I'm sure.
This is a slightly strange question, but I actually think I know the answer for this, and because we talked about a game before we started recording that's coming soon. But he asks, is there any game out before June that you're hoping to play specifically to do guides for?
I went on a roller coaster just before this pod. If you're talking about that game, flipping, is it the
Thaumaturge?
Thaumaturge, right? Somehow this game has not been on my radar. Did we talk about it in Most Anticipated last year? Or did we forget it?
I can't remember it. I recognise the name.
There's a chance I mentioned it because I'd seen a trailer last year. You carry on and I'll go and look back to the doc.
This game was not on my radar at all. And then Adam was like, I can't believe this game's you're not all over this. And I was like, that's normally my indication to bring up YouTube videos and Steam and stuff. And this game, well, I watched the trailer and I was like, it looked like about 8 different games in one as I was watching the trailer. And it looks like it's tactical, choice, story driven with skill trees and stuff. And I was like, I've got a bit of a guide stiffy. But also the type of game I really want to play as well, because it's like, it looks lovely and like I'm intrigued by how it merges the different like viewpoints and styles that it seems to have going on, and it's published by 11-bit, who I adore. Yeah. So I think that was one that's literally. If you'd asked me this question yesterday, it wouldn't have been that game, and then this game's come and bit me on the arse, and I'm like,
it wasn't on our most anticipated list.
No, I don't think it was, because I would have been like, there was some that we talked about that got on my radar because of most anticipated that weren't on there.
Yeah.
So that one looks really interesting. So yeah, I'll go with that because you probably weren't expecting it, and 25 years ago I wasn't expecting it. So that's a nice quirky answer.
Can we ask more about the guide stiffy though? I was just interested.
I don't want to get into.
No. Adam knows what this is.
I know what he's talking about. And I don't like it.
Like you see certain games, and there are some games that you just can't guide.
Sorry, you're doing that thing again where you say you see. You've done this before. I think we're
going to come on to this in pizza toppings as well.
You've done this before where you've gone, you see that, like you're talking about the Royal We, and I want to just be very clear again that Chris Hyde is talking for his own.
Yeah, okay. So to be clear, like I look at
own it, Chris.
It's what I'm here for as well. Let's be clear. It's kind of sort of a semi-role as well. But
not a semi-role.
No, but like it's. Yeah, so I'll look at some games and go, what content could we create for that? Like, and thinking about that. And some games I get more excited than others, and this one. It was kind of, Adam was here witnessing it. It was kind of going up in
really
increments.
Unpleasant, yeah.
Because I started going, oh,
yeah,
oh my god.
Yeah,
So I was watching this trailer for it because it's like, because it just kind of kept unveiling more stuff, and I was like, so
the game,
yeah.
Right,
Wow.
we've got to get into it. Do you know what? No, I'm going to save this to last because it's a food question, and they can somehow. Yeah. So we've got one more question after this one, which is the food question. But he wants to know, will you play Skull and Bones? It looks nicer than similar games, which again is shade.
Yeah, he's just hating on Sea of Thieves. I will only play Skull and Bones with other people. Yeah. It won't be. It's not. I don't unless. Okay, hang on. Unless everyone else goes, fuck me.
This is amazing.
This is amazing, right? I've kind of made up my mind a little bit, maybe prematurely, that this game will probably be really fun with the lads, having a laugh, a bit like Sea of Thieves was, like as an adventure.
Mojito
together.
in hand.
Pirates life for me. Yeah, but like, I don't think it's for me in terms of like the game on its own. So like, I'd play it with you guys if you guys are up for it and really enjoyed it. I'd play it with you guys, but like, or like. Adam, not Lyle, and then, but like other than so, in a very certain set of circumstances, I may play Skull and Bones, but I don't think it's got a lot to compete with this year, so maybe not.
Right, last question full stop. Actually, he wants to know your favourite pizza topping to have as a meal with the following beverages. So I'm going to list them and then let you answer. I think is the easiest way.
Before we get to the beverages. Okay. This sentence really made me go cross-eyed. So, for example, like if I was to choose the pizza topping, I don't know, mushrooms, because it's the as a meal bit that's got me really.
It makes it sound like you get a plate of mushrooms.
Am I now having a plate of mushrooms? Or am I having a mushroom pizza?
I think you're having a mushroom pizza, same thing.
God, I was like, this is going to be really weird. Otherwise.
I didn't spot it, but now you've said it. No, I think he's asking pizza topping, as in what pizza are you having. So, what pizza are you having with the following? Red wine.
It's bad because I just want to say a meat feast for every single one of these. I think with red wine, you have to have red meat. So, because that's what you
red and red.
So pepperoni.
Because white wine, you would have like chicken or fish, wouldn't you? That's what you tend to drink white wine with, and red wine you drink it with like a steak or something. That is.
I've never had wine with pizza that I can recall.
No, I haven't. But this is the question. I don't think I've ever had it with pizza. So I'm saying if I have to pair things, I'm going to loosely go. Well, okay, it's got to be red meat. So probably, I'll say for
beef.
Beef, yeah.
Beef.
Round beef.
Pizza.
Beef and dumplings. No, beef and cobblers on a pizza.
Round beef pizza.
Okay. Right. We've got red wine. Guinness stout, he said. Guinness stout. You need something that's going to help you later, surely. Don't you?
See, I was thinking something like a pepperoni
bran flakes, maybe to
pierce through it, to pierce through the creaminess of the Guinness.
Yeah, I think the piercing's important. I was thinking, I love pineapple on pizza, obviously. So I
won't be saying pineapple, but I agree with the reason.
Yeah, the reason.
I won't ever say pineapple on the pizza.
No.
But yeah, I think you need something to pierce through the.
What is it though? Well, what is your choice?
So I'll say pepperoni for that. And I'm running out of good toppings already. But whatever.
Are you?
We carry on.
This one's really specific.
This is fucking. I have not. Right, Hogarden Ale is the big. I've had a Hogarden since university. Right, so I don't know.
I can't remember what it is. Really it's a lager, isn't it?
That you wanted to steal from pubs at uni.
It's a lager, right? A pale lager.
It's
I can't remember.
Pale ale.
Yeah. Okay, what are you having with a... So what? Let's just say lager. What are you having with a lager? He's graduated from Stella. He's on Stella now after his
okay.
mojitos.
I'd probably have something... If it's Stella, I'm probably having something equally as...
Doner meat.
Like chicken or something.
Yeah. Well, we know you're not going to pick eggs, so...
No.
Right, iced coffee.
I like the idea of this being like a tasting menu.
Yeah,
where you're
pairing drinks with pizzas. I'm just rattling through my head of like toppings that I would I would have
bit of barbecue sauce, maybe on the top with some chicken.
He's already had chicken.
Yeah, I've already had chicken.
Again. All right.
No, I feel like
sweet mushroom and sweet corn. Ham and mushroom. Classic pizza. No, not.
Yeah, but I know because that's like no. I'd have that maybe with the next one. I want something really nice because it's coffee, and I feel like
that's why I was like,
but I've already gone in hard with pepperoni and ground beef, bacon,
double pepperoni, bacon,
a meteor.
Yeah. Why not? You can do that.
Yeah, something I'd have and enjoy because it's coffee. So yeah, I'll say bacon.
I think with a nice coffee one, I'd have gone more like peppers and stuff to give you the spice and the.
Maybe it's not your question.
No, it's not. So it doesn't matter. Long Island iced tea.
I'll have the boring ham
and mushroom. I don't call it boring. It's still pizza. There's no need for that.
It's a Hawaiian without the pineapple.
And that's the best bit of the Hawaiian stuff.
No, it isn't.
What are you doing?
There you go. That's your questions answered, I think, isn't it?
What? Yeah. What a weird question. I've never thought to pair pizzas with drinks. But, I mean, he's made me describe you guys as different flavours of mojitos before. So, whatever.
True, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Play that jingle. Chris Hyde. Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
And that is the end of episode 543. If you enjoyed it, do make sure you rate us and review us on whatever podcast app you use, whether it be Spotify, the Apple one, iTunes, I suppose that would be now. We're on Podbean. You can just watch us on YouTube, where we put little bits of game footage in there to intersperse our chat, and we wave at you and look all handsome and stuff. Notice that none of us said that when we were praising each other. What a good-looking lad he is, or whatever.
I mean, it's a fucking video podcast. I nearly complimented the beard of Lyle, I'll be honest. But it felt a bit superficial after you'd said all the good things about my character. If I turned around and went, beard's all right. So I think
I would still appreciate it.
Yeah, I know you would. Yeah.
Regardless, do like and subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, on all the social mediums.
Hit the bell button so you never miss future content from us. We've got loads of previews and video reviews and stuff going up, as well as the podcast at the moment. There is an exclusive video also available of myself playing Celeste 64 on patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, where you can get access to that, as well as this very podcast in video and audio form early. And as we get a bit quieter, we will be able to start doing our Patreon exclusive podcast again as well, which will be fun. Looking forward to that when we get to it. Other than that, thank you for watching. Thank you to Chris and to Lyle for being here, obviously, and to everybody else. We will speak to you next week. Actually, saying that, we might not. It might be a week off week next week, so we might speak to you next week, I'll say, or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.